I'm gonna fix some bad code that ChatGPT makes. So we got the simple code here that's supposed to be generating some Fortnite images on a mock server. So let's see, as you can see here, everything looks kind of good, but there's some things that we could definitely change to make this a bit more readable. The first thing I see is that this handle data isn't following the same naming convention as the rest of the functions in here. So as you can see, like curl easy setup is snake case, and this handle data is camel case. So the first thing I'll do is I'll just make this snake case to begin with, since curl easy setup is coming from curl.h, and it's a function that I'm not going to be able to change, so I might as well just copy that. So if you look at this, we could change that there, and let's just go through with the rest of the variable naming here convention. So easy handle, we could also just make this snake case as well, just so it's following the same convention. And then I like the fact that we're using explicitly stating the namespace here, because when your file gets big and you have a bunch of like namespaces, and you know you're using this, you're using that, it's kind of better and more readable to actually like just have the namespace declared explicitly every time you want to use some object or some data type from that namespace. So I like the fact that we're still using this here. So people know, like when they read your code, they know, okay, this string is coming from the standard library and so on. But what I don't like is this P here. It's not very descriptive at all of what's going on. So we can change the naming of this as well. So looking into curl easy setup, I can see that it's supposed to be some type of parameter. So since we're having like more than one in most cases, I'm just gonna name this parameter list. And then change where it's being used at. Okay, another thing is too, this response here. It's a global variable, and typically you want to have the variables being used or being declared very closely to where they're being used. So I think it's a better choice if we try to declare this inside the main, pass it as a reference, pass it by reference to handle data, and then have it append here and then output it at the end. So we can change that as well. So take this out. We can probably put this right here and then fix this here. So as of now, we will just pass this by reference, so it doesn't make a copy of it, and then let's just fix this here. Okay, so that's good so far. Another sweet trick is that, yes, the string here, we're making sure that we're passing it by reference, but there's another way that we could do this that's already going to take care of all the memory management, and that is called a string view, which views are very interesting because it allows you to view the data as a string view suggests, but it doesn't own the data. That's another optimization you can make here, but that may be overkill for this simple example, so that's just something you should look at. Okay, so we have this done, and I definitely don't like outputting the response here, so I'd rather return it. And we can get rid of this. Let's make this a string response. Change this to generate. And we have this in snake case, remember? So generate Fortnite images. Generate Fortnite images. Snake case. And if I can remember correctly, also we do not have any capitalization, so we should keep it like that. And let me fix this. Okay, sorry for my errors. Okay, that looks good. And now let's talk about comments. So comments should be placed anywhere where you feel like you need to be explaining the why something is happening, why some code is doing this, but you don't want to explain the how, like how is code doing this. So for example, like we don't want to do something where we say like, let's just do this for example. We can say like append next image into response. Like this is bad. This is a bad comment because it explains the how. So how we're doing this, well, we could tell how we're doing this with the response.append. We're appending something to it. What you rather do is try to explain the why. So here we could say append next image because response handler will read through this list when generating. So this is still like a way better comment because you're explaining like why you're doing this. Explains the why. And this is way better, so we want to remove this and keep this one. So anywhere else where you think like, okay, where do we need to explain the why here is where you should be adding comments. So let's see, what else could we do? This is parameter list, as you can tell by the variable naming here, which is descriptive enough to let us know what's going on. People are very familiar with the URL parameter list, so this is like the same concept, the same convention. And so that looks pretty a-okay. So these are pretty self-explanatory. So these look okay. So I think this is fine. We could also just add comments of like what these are supposed to do. So very simple. You could just explain the input and the output here, like basically like a Java doc style function naming here. So we could just say generates response list of images of Fortnite images for a response handler to loop through. So that's okay. We can just keep this at 1. We can probably just do this, and this is a bit better. We can do the same thing here. We could even write it in this way, which is probably even better. Incoming images to response, and response is what we know is this here. So list string list of strings is a string containing every image generated on a new line. So that's good. And return, we return response size, and that's good. We also want to make sure we add our periods for everything, and like let's just make this the same way too. So let's see. Oh, there we go. So generates response and returns response which is just basically this. So we could just say string containing this, and yep, that looks pretty good. Just remember, you always want to have the same naming conventions for your variables and your functions. Have your comments explain the why and not the how. Make sure that your global variables or any variable that you declare is being used very closely to where it's being declared for better readability. And don't forget your C++ function comments here, just so when somebody looks at this, they can understand like what's going on. See, like when they hover over this, my comments are here. What is going on? The parameters, the returns, and the output. And we can see the same thing for this one. And okay, so this looks good. Thank you guys for watching, and here are some images that I generated from this.